Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 21st, and we are 9 days away from the real NFL draft. We're joined today by guest Ryan Stern. He knows everything about football. He's our football guy, so we have him on today. Ryan, what's up?
How's it going, boys?
I'm very excited to have you on because I like you more than Tom, so that's good.
That's
Tom,
true.
what's up?
I like you more than Tom too. What's up? I'm so tired.
It's easy to like anyone over a Jets fan, so
that's true.
So today we have a little special draft episode today. We're going to go through the first round of the NFL draft. We'll switch who makes picks. Ryan will definitely pick for the Giants. Tom will pick for the Jets, and I will pick for the Browns, of course. But yeah, we're going to go into that here in a couple minutes. And obviously, I wanted to start out today. I don't talk politics. I don't do it. But obviously, what happened yesterday in Minnesota, I think was good for our country. Unfortunately, there was another incident today in Columbus. I don't know what happened, but I think yesterday's verdict was good for the country, and that's all I have to say about it. Anyone got any comments on it?
No, man, I don't do politics, so I'm gonna stay out of this one again.
Yeah,
Ryan, I saw your post.
I'll save my my outburst for my show. I don't want to get into, but yeah, it was a step in the right direction, but there needs to be many more steps taken.
Yep, we're definitely at the bottom of like the 1,000-step stairway to heaven, basically. Yeah. But other than that, I did want to bring up this in the beginning real quick. Obviously, I've been covering a lot of the FCS, and the FCS bracket is scheduled, is up. And I'm running a kind of contest with a guy from Facebook, one of the admins for one of the groups. Basically print it off, fill one out, take a picture of it, and either send it to me or I'll put a link where to send it. It's free to go in. Winner gets a hat from the school of their choice. So if anybody wants to do that out there, definitely. It's also, if you don't know anything about the FCS, it really doesn't matter because it was as crazy as the fall Division I season was, the FCS season was crazier. And I just got ripped apart every week for my top 10, but that's life. So if anyone wants to do that, feel free. Like I said, it's awesome for someone to watch football and be in the spring. I'm going to miss it next year, definitely. On to our next topic. Good thing we have Ryan on. We haven't fully made plans for the NFL draft, but I kind of wanted to get a quick brief thing. Like what do we have in mind for us guys?
Yeah, so last year, which was really, I guess, the start of the Back Sports page in terms of web shows and live streaming. So I was able to go on and have instant reactions to each of the picks in the first round. We did usually like every 10 picks in the second and third round, and then at the end of each of the rounds on day 3. So looking forward to doing that again. Now that we have such a great cast around us at Back Sports page, gonna try and get a schedule to get some of these writers who are linked with certain teams ready to go on to have the instant reactions with me. So definitely looking forward to that. Both of you guys have been great in terms of getting out the content for the draft, in terms of scouting reports and what to look for and what teams need to do. Got great stuff going up on the site.
Absolutely. And I know me and Tom briefly talked about a live stream. We don't know. We'll figure it out, but we're definitely in for whatever Ryan wants to do. And honestly, I'm sure it's going to be, yes, last year, I'm sure for you was great, but it should be 100% better this year. We got more people. We got basically anyone could cover a team. And so definitely be checking us out on draft night. We'll obviously be posting in the next couple of weeks as well. It is in Cleveland.
If you're watching right now on YouTube, make sure you're clicking that subscribe button. Click the bell so that it lets you know when we are going live with our reaction shot. So it's always helpful for us as well.
He really wants you to keep that bell on so that you can see me cry when the Jets pick Zach Wilson.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that, Tom. You need to calm down a little bit. You need to calm down a little bit. So like I said, it is in Cleveland. I thought about going down on day one. It really doesn't make a lot of sense logistically, but I might go down for round 3 just to check it out. From what I've seen, it looks incredible down there. I'm happy that they got to do it. I'm kind of disappointed that they're not really linking it as much with Canton anymore because that's where the Hall of Fame is. But it should be a good time, and hopefully Cleveland shows off well. I mean, we are the mistake by the lake, so who knows? But today, obviously, we have to get into our Today in Sports History. We're in a little bit of Boston Marathon time and baseball. No cricket again today, unfortunately. I need to get out there and find those stories. But in 1904, Ty Cobb made his pro debut with Augusta of the South Atlantic League. That's pretty awesome. And then in 1898, Phillies pitcher Bill Duggleby hit a grand slam on his first at bat. Just to real quickly kind of say, what is your guys' favorite memory of a pitcher hitting a home run? Because I have one definitely in my head, and if you guys are Mets fans, I think you might have the same one.
Yeah, I mean, yes. If it's not Bartolo going deep in San Diego, I mean, what else could it be?
I watched that clip so many times.
What makes that clip as good as it is, and what makes the whole thing, I mean, the whole aura about Bartolo Colon was Gary Cohen's call, because his call was absolutely iconic. And you hear Ron Darling in the background just giggling he knew exactly what that meant. And so, yeah, I mean, that has to be it.
Yeah, I mean, that's no doubter for me, too.
I briefly forgot that I was with Mets fans, and then I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, good. So, but I will say we will get to MLB, but the Mets are looking good right now. And once we get to the MLB, we'll kind of bring them back into the topics. All right. Today, also in fun facts, we're going to talk about the Fargo Dome. That's where North Dakota State plays football. It's used to be pretty unknown, but now with College Game Day going to some of the smaller schools, it's very known. I did not know this about the Fargo Dome. Guns N' Roses, Prince, the Rolling Stones, Shania Twain, Metallica, Taylor Swift, and my favorite boy band ever, NSYNC, all played concerts in Fargo, North Dakota. That's incredible because it's North Dakota. I gotta imagine it can't be on many tour stops, but I don't know. That's pretty cool about the Fargo Dome.
So you actually in that list that you just gave of artists, you rattled off my guilty pleasure.
Which one?
Wait, let me. No, it's Taylor Swift.
No, come on. I'm older than you guys.
Shania Twain.
There you go.
Okay, there you go. See,
I went to see Shania 3 times in a span of 5 days when she played at Nassau Coliseum, Prudential Center, and Madison Square Garden.
That's
3
awesome.
times. You didn't get bored of the songs?
No,
I got up close to the stage at the Garden show, and where she was actually signing autographs, and she autographed my my ticket stub, and then my father tried to have it laminated, and it melted the whole ticket stub, and I lost.
No.
Wow, that is. I was so excited when you started saying that story, and that just turned to like sorrow.
Yeah, it was devastating.
But yeah, I figured some of the country singers would play there, but I definitely never thought Metallica or the Rolling Stones or Guns N' Roses would have played there, but they have. And as a lot of people have seen, they also have a lot of fans for football games. Before we get into our mock draft, we're obviously going to do a little bit of current events. So in the NBA, me and Tom really aren't NBA guys, but it is funny right now that basically the Nets' big 3 is all hurt and they're never going to play again. I mean, like I know Bill said something on the group chat last night about like it's karma for James Harden, but this kind of stuff really does ruin the NBA for me. Like Kevin Durant and James Harden and Kyrie Irving should be appointment television, and they just never play. I don't know if you guys have any opinion on that, but I just don't like the Nets. I hate how they came together, but whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I was brought up with the 80s and 90s Knicks. I sort of lost touch with the Knicks after the whole Ewing against Indiana debacle. And I was always a humongous Jason Kidd fan. I never had anything against the Nets, even when I was rooting for the Knicks. And then I was actually during college when Jason Kidd came over to the Nets, and I was working at Sports Authority. And so we got all the shipments of the new Jason Kidd jerseys, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna follow the Nets for a little bit, and it was fun for a couple years, making back-to-back championships. Not faring very well in either of those, but it was really after that I just lost all touch with the NBA. I do know what's going on with Steph Curry right now is unbelievable.
Don't get me started on Steph Curry. Don't. I'm not going to do that today on this podcast. I'm not.
So, all right. Well, all right. So you know what? Screw it. Let's get into it right now. Let's have a basketball argument right now.
Okay. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. Steph Curry's MVP, unanimous MVP, is the biggest joke in the history of awards. Michael Jordan never won a unanimous MVP. Neither did LeBron. Go ahead, Ryan.
I maybe watched 17 minutes of NBA basketball that year, so I couldn't tell you whether or not it was warranted. But Steph Curry this year has 6 games of 10 3-pointers or more. Nobody in the NBA has 5 in their career.
And this kills my argument a lot. I saw a stat yesterday. That if Steph Curry goes 0 for 500 in his next 500 attempts, and then he retires, he'd still have a better percentage than Ray Allen. And then he could come back and do 600, 0 for 600 again, and still have a better percentage than Reggie Miller. So, but yes, it's not even the Steph Curry thing really for me, because I liked him at Davidson. People also do forget that he didn't play in the league for his first 3 years because his ankles were broken in half. But what really I hate the Warriors because they were with the Cavs for 2-3 years in a row. But Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. I can't deny that. And I also will say you can't talk about the game of basketball today without mentioning Steph Curry. So I give him the respect, but his unanimous MVP was the biggest joke in the history of awards.
I mean, the fact that he has a unanimous and Michael Jordan doesn't is kind of weird. But Michael Jordan played in an era. Michael Jordan played in an era where there were people as dominant as Steph Curry on 2/3 of the teams in the NBA. People actually cared about defense back then too.
Yeah.
Nobody is guards on the perimeter anymore. So
nobody guards period anymore.
Yeah. Like I said, we don't do basketball much, but and also I have to say, I did post on the chat last night. You have to agree that when Draymond Green shoots the ball, it looks like he's wearing a backpack, like that. Like he looks like he's wearing a backpack.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah, but we'll move on from the NBA. I didn't want to get mad, Ryan. You made me get mad. That's understandable.
That's what I'm here for.
Also, I don't really know much about Tyler Hero's personal life, but apparently the Heat are very worried about his personal life. I know he's been mentioned in a rap song. I don't know if he hangs out with those people or not. I don't know if you guys know, but they're worried about his personal life. So that's always good when you come in as a 20-year-old rookie and they're worried about your personal life. That's good.
I mean, I think a lot of it's like just kind of the not even like the people that he hangs out with on side of the court. They're just like worried that like in the NBA offseason, he's like not focused on basketball like an NBA player normally is. And I think that like draws that concern around it. But like I don't think it's, I don't think it should be taken as seriously. Like he's 21, he's my age. I don't think about school when I'm in summer. Like I'm out doing other things.
Is he the next Johnny Manziel? I need a new Johnny Manziel because we have to stop remembering Johnny Manziel for the failure that he was because it was in Cleveland. So I need a new Johnny Manziel. I need a new Johnny Manziel for someone else. Ryan, NHL news. What do we got going on? I know the playoffs are coming up rather shortly, correct?
About 3 weeks to go. Most teams have anywhere between 17 and 20 games. 7 to 10 games left on their schedule. So yeah, we got everyone except for Vancouver, who now I think they had to play 19 games in 31 days because they were shut down for 2.5 weeks because 25 members of the organization came down with COVID. So they have to complete the season by a certain date. So 19 games in 31 days they're going to be playing.
That sounds
crazy.
The real story are the two different races in the Central. The Central Division is by far the best division in the game this year. You have 3 teams at the top who all could claim stake to being the best team in the league, with Carolina, Florida, and Tampa. So their race. Yeah, Carolina is the second best record in the entire league. They are only a point behind Vegas. They're just so solid up and down their lineup. They got a lot of experience from last year's playoff run. Florida, I would have put my stake in Florida, but the Aaron Ekblad injury was just that was one of the scary ones. I mean, you literally watched this guy's knee get ripped apart. It was similar to the Willis McGahee injury, where you absolutely knew that this guy wasn't going to be able to play for 2 years. That's how bad this injury for Aaron Ekblad looked. And then you have the Stanley Cup champions sitting right there at Tampa. Again, they need their captain, Steven Stamkos, to get healthy. But then you have another 3-team race for that final spot in the division with Nashville, Dallas, and Chicago. Nashville, who looked like one of the worst teams for the first half of the season, now all of a sudden can't lose. They're right now in the 4 spot. Dallas and Chicago, again, Chicago, another team that nobody expected to be there, and they're right there. So the Central Division, both Central Division races are really exciting.
Is Patrick Kane like still really good?
Patrick Kane is still really good.
That's incredible. I remember when they won the cup in I think like 2010, and he was really young. But that's awesome. I ever since I moved away from the NBA, I get so much more excited for the NHL playoffs. And my first year ever like intently watching it was I think 2 years ago when Columbus beat Tampa Bay in the first round. So
yeah.
It's been awesome, and like I said, I look forward to the hockey playoffs. I don't look forward to the NBA playoffs, but that's awesome that Ryan filled us in.
Yeah, the NHL playoffs are unlike anything else. So it really is the best level of athleticism across all 4 sports.
Yeah, and people like I've heard people try and compare it to soccer, and I love soccer. When I'm watching like an NHL playoff game, you can't take your eyes off the ice for a second or you'll miss something.
No, it really is the best.
Sounds like I need to start watching the playoffs then. I mean, I need something to fill the void, you know?
Yeah.
FCS playoffs.
Right.
All All right. In the MLB and the Players Union met for their first CBA talks. I don't really know. Is there any threat of a strike or them not reaching a deal?
No, everything's expected to work itself out. They're a lot closer to where they're going to be in agreements than other sports are. So they're at the present moment, there is no threat of any missed time.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the NFL. I have to be honest. I saw the Raiders tweet last night. I honestly don't understand why it was so bad. Can someone explain it to me?
So, all right. So I'll lead us off here. I think it was the fact that it came from the owner, a rich white man who a lot of people are questioning why he's trying to speak on behalf. And yeah, Mark Davis came out and he said that it was based on the words of George Floyd's brother. And George Floyd's brother actually came out earlier today in support of the tweet. I just think that it could have been handled in a more compassionate way. You saw a lot of these teams across all major sports releasing statements about how when the verdict was announced that it was a step forward and that we need to continue moving forward. But that was just such a bold statement. And again, the Raiders are a bold team. They always have been. They always will. It's something you should expect from the Raiders as long as a Davis is in charge. This is something I could have seen coming from Al Davis too. So am I completely against what was said? Not incredibly. Should it have been handled differently? Yes.
All right,
I agree very much with what Ryan was saying, but I also found it sort of surprising, like how he took a stand and was like, yeah, I'm not going to delete this tweet because I want it to kind of be like there so that I can be reminded like to think things more clearly and, you know, stuff like that. I thought that was a really interesting reason to like leave it up. I don't know how I feel about it, but I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up. I don't really have much to say about it. I don't do politics. I lived in Alaska for about eight months of my life. Every time this stuff happens, I just wish I was back in Alaska because I just don't want to deal with it. But I just want to go fishing and cook my salmon and be happy. But it doesn't always happen. So the schedule will be announced on May 12th. Any thoughts from you guys?
If the Giants open up in Dallas again, I'm going to blow a freaking gasket because it's been, I think, 8 out of 10 years that the Giants open up in Dallas, and I'm sick of it already.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that the Jets don't end up playing when I remember I had their schedule and like not their schedule, but who they were supposed to play. And like I have to say, in my opinion, it's a pretty difficult schedule for a team that finished with 2 wins on the year. So I just hope that we don't have to play one of those really difficult teams that we have to play first week because every team likes to have a tune-up game for Blue Mountain State at least. So it would be nice to not have to play like I don't even know like the Bills. If we have to play the Bills week 1 like we did last year, it would suck.
I mean, I'm sure the Browns are opening with Ravens or Steelers, so that's gonna suck. But whatever. And this will kind of bring us into our little draft. The Eagles are not ready to name Jalen Hurts the starter. It doesn't really surprise me because Jalen Hurts doesn't play quarterback really, so whatever. But like I said, that leads us into our little mock draft.
I guess it's a good thing they have Carson Wentz on the team to fall back. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
No,
Honestly,
they signed Joe Flacco. They brought in Joe Flacco to compete with him.
That's hilarious that you brought up Carson Wentz, because when I was looking for like the fun facts, what I'm going to do today, I tried to look up fun facts about Carson Wentz. There's nothing. There was nothing. There was like, he's married. He graduated from North Dakota State.
He looks like Prince Harry.
Yeah. So I didn't have anything for that. So I think we're going to do this quarterback. Yeah, it's exactly. I've been ripping on Tom for weeks about how he thinks the Wentz move to Indy was great, and maybe you do too.
I never said it was great. I said it was a solid move.
It was the best move for Wentz. I'll put it that way. It was the best landing spot he could have had, because where we saw him have the most success is when he was under Frank Reich.
Thank you.
I really do think that was a huge reason behind the decline in Carson Wentz's game over the past couple of years.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do you guys like share thoughts about the same things and just plan it out? Because Ryan, what you just said, I think Tom said those exact words like
at least 3 times.
So, all right. So we're going to get into this draft. I think we've decided that I'll pick first. Tom will pick second. Ryan will pick third, and then it'll come back to me. And after we make each pick, we'll obviously discuss. This is more kind of just to figure out, I guess, for some of the prospects and kind of where our minds are with the draft only a week away. So if we want to get started, easily to do it, I'll be the first pick.
Sure.
With the Jaguars, I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going to lie.
Put it on screen for me?
Put it on the screen, yeah. Sorry. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I think Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in this class, but I don't think he's as much of a for sure thing as people think he is. But obviously, it's the best for the Jaguars to pick him first, and that's why they brought in Urban Meyer, I think. But like I said, I don't think he's a sure thing. He's about as close to a sure thing as you can get, but I don't think he's as much of like Andrew Luck was ready for the pros. Any thoughts from you guys?
I love Trevor Lawrence, and I've got to watch him play again, just absolutely destroy my Irish in the ACC championship game. That still feels weird to say that the Irish were in the ACC championship.
I think, I mean, we'll obviously talk about this. I'll probably when college football rounds. I think Notre Dame could be good next year. I think it could be pretty good.
I think so too. Jack Cohn. I mean, that was. I think the best transition, considering they have the 2 really young kids. With Buckler and Payne, but I mean, having the experience that Cohn is going to bring over can only help the development of the 2 young kids. But in terms of Trevor Lawrence, you brought up the whole Andrew Luck thing. Yeah, I think that he's up there. I think that's where Trevor Lawrence can be, and I think that he brings an additional dimension in terms of the ability to move. Luck was able to move within the pocket, but he moved to extend the plays. Yep. Lawrence can actually give you some rushing yards. So I think he does bring that additional dimension that not many people know how athletic he really is for his size.
Yeah, I mean, he showed it last year in the one of the playoff semis versus Ohio State last year. And he showed
that run was unbelievable.
That was crazy.
Yes, when I saw that run, I was like, this dude is going to be the best quarterback in NFL history. Before we move on, I just got to kind of ask. Well, I hate Dabo Swinney. I can never side with them. So whatever.
I hate Dabo also. So.
Who would you guys say is the closest pro comparison for Trevor Lawrence? Because I have no idea really.
Just look at the same school. Deshaun Watson right now to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. It's hard to like pinpoint a guy for Lawrence because like I think that he's got a very different play style than a lot of guys. So I'd have to agree with Ryan just from that perspective.
Yeah, but so we're all in on Trevor Lawrence. I think we'd all be 100% shocked if they didn't take him. So, all right, Tom.
Urban Meyer didn't take the job for any other quarterback.
100%.
Yeah, but it was also funny when Urban Meyer said, "Yeah, that's the way we're leaning. We're leaning towards Trevor Lawrence too."
That's the direction that we're headed.
Trevor Lawrence also tweeted he can't wait to be a part of the Jacksonville community.
He donated some money already, so that's good for him. All right, Tom. This has the chance to change the entire draft. Since it's our own, you're up to do whatever you want. But go ahead with the number 2 pick for the Jets.
I mean, I'm under the impression that we're doing this with the thought process in mind that we're trying to think of what they're actually going to do versus what I would want them to do here. So with that being said, I think it's going to be Zach Wilson. The talk of the town has kind of been leaning towards Wilson. Everything that I've been hearing, all my friends I talk to, everything I read is that Zach Wilson's locked into place there. I would personally rather see them go Fields. I've said that a couple of different times here on the man-to-man, but I think it's going to be Wilson, and it is unfortunate because I think that Wilson would do really well under another system, specifically a guy like Shanahan. I think if he were to be able to unlock the potential that Wilson has, I think that he would be a much better quarterback. But having Saleh and LaFleur come over from Shanahan's system gives me a little bit of hope, so I'm not too depressed about it. But, I think it's going to be Wilson here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't love Zach Wilson. I loved him a lot as a college quarterback, and I think he has a pretty good chance. His play alike kind of reminds me of Baker Mayfield's a little bit. It'll just be interesting to see. To me, a guy like Zach Wilson, the only issue is it's the same issue with Trey Lance. We just haven't seen much tape on him, so it's hard to pick a guy number 2 overall when you haven't seen much tape on him. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
I really like Zach Wilson. I mean, you look at the tape and you see a kid who will take a hit to make any throw, and he can make all the throws on the field. I really like him, and if it wasn't for Trevor Lawrence, I could see him easily being the first overall pick in many drafts. So I think that, again, yes, it does. The lack of film worry me a little bit. Does the softer schedule that he played this year worry me a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. Does the fact that he had such a dominant offensive line compared to the defensive lines that he was going against worry me? Some, not too much. But you can't take away the fact that he got to play with under these circumstances. And it's when you have these circumstances and you underperform, that's what sticks out to me even more. I just think that too many people are taking away from what I think is a terrific skill set.
Hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't hate him. I kind of docked him a little bit for his performance against Coastal Carolina because that was really one of the only games that he had a NFL defensive end coming at him. And he didn't look perfect, but he still kept him in the game. I think he has maybe the highest ceiling in the draft, but also maybe the lowest basement as well. So we'll see. But yeah, I think we'd all also be shocked if the Jets went with someone else other than Zach Wilson. Yeah. So,
well, and I don't know if you guys have heard, just real quick. It's funny, Ryan, you were talking about how he has the ability to make any throw on the field. I was having a discussion with my dad last night, and he's been reading, and he told me about an article I went and read that someone compared him to Brett Favre. So who had that exact same skill set.
Size, skill sets are the same. Mentality is the same. He is the gunslinger of the draft.
Yep.
Well,
So
and that's obviously tough on me because I think he plays a lot like Baker Mayfield. Or I don't think he plays a lot like Baker Mayfield, but if I were to compare him to a quarterback, it would be Baker Mayfield. Like you said, I mean,
the
they compared
moxie.
Baker Mayfield.
I could say the moxie, the willingness to take the chances that other quarterbacks in this class don't necessarily show on tape.
All right, so we will now move on to the San Francisco, not Giants, God, San Francisco 49ers, and Ryan will pick for them. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk around this pick. Ryan is the smartest of us three, so we're going to give him a tough one. This also could change the entire first round, so you got it, Ryan.
All of the talk has been about San Francisco trading up for Mac Jones. Does he fit the prototypical Kyle Shanahan quarterback in terms of Kirk Cousins, in terms of Jimmy Garoppolo? Absolutely. I listened to a press conference that John Lynch gave, and he was basically saying that we're not here to give Kyle the quarterback that he's always had. We're here to give him the best quarterback. I think I don't think they're going with Mac Jones. If it were up to me, I'm taking Trey Lance here because I still have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. I'm not taking Trey Lance though. I think that they're going to I think they're taking Justin Fields.
Okay.
Justin Fields is my QB5 in this draft. I actually do have Mac Jones rated ahead of Justin Fields.
Wow.
It's something about his one read ability and not being able to at least prove on tape that he can consistently go to his second, third, fourth reads. That would scare me. But I think in a Kyle Shanahan offense, the first read is usually going to be the read that is designed to get open first. And you cannot deny his skill set and his rushing ability. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have a ton of fun designing plays for Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think that would surprise me the most if they took Fields, because he's been the one that's just been falling over draft boards, and he should. I mean, he was basically Jekyll and Hyde this year for Ohio State. Yeah. He was horrible against Indiana, who we found out really wasn't that good, but he was incredible versus Clemson. So I understand.
Don't forget how mediocre at best he was against Northwestern.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, the pick he threw at the end of the first half against Northwestern was, I don't even know where he was looking. Ugly. And I think, unfortunately for Fields, I mean, Ohio State quarterbacks just haven't panned out in the NFL. I mean, Dwayne Haskins has been an absolute failure, pretty much.
So I just do not buy into that sentiment. The fact that you can go back and look at the history of a position at a school. Because there are different coaching staffs, and they're completely different players, different surroundings, different teammates. I hate that. And I personally hate that narrative.
I understand that. And, like I said, towards the end of the season, I thought, especially against Clemson, he was really good, but he definitely does. I mean, let's be real. Ohio State had the second best group of receivers in the country right now, and it's also not showing that well for Fields. From all the reports, basically, and this is kind of getting off topic, all the reports I've seen is that whoever's going to fill in for Fields next year is going to be just fine. But I like the Justin Fields pick at 3. That's who I would take at 3. He's my second ranked quarterback, but I like that pick. Anything, Tom?
I've been reading and seeing a lot that they could potentially, because of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract hit over the next year or two. I forget how long it is off the top of my head. I could see them being one of the teams that takes a shot on Trey Lance and plays for the hopefulness of his physical abilities. And just like the fact that he's kind of a little bit of everything and is good at, a little bit of everything. And he's a guy that's going to need to progress a year or two behind a NFL starting quarterback so that he has time to kind of grow into the position almost. So I actually would put Lance there, in my opinion, with San Fran.
Well, I think that's a great transition to pick number 4 with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes. So I will take this one. I think that's how we've gone.
Yeah.
I think Fields falling off the board for Atlanta before them. I think they would be in for Fields. However, I've seen a lot of different things. I think you guys have too with what the Falcons should do. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded out, but since we're doing this as how they pick, I'm not high enough on Trey Lance to take him at 4. And I think the best player in this draft is Kyle Pitts. And I think Atlanta takes – if this is the scenario that plays out, I would take Kyle Pitts. And I think they might because they have to kind of stick on to Matt Ryan for another year, and just building weapons around him right now would it helps for the future as well. So
based on the contract, I think they're tied to Matt Ryan for 2 more years for it to not be an enormous hit that the team would have to take, which is why I think the only quarterback that they would take would be Trey Lance, because I think that any of the other quarterbacks probably have more of a right to start earlier than Trey Lance. So, to be honest, it would actually genuinely surprise me if the Falcons pick in the number 4 spot.
I agree, but since we're doing it like this,
yeah, right.
They have to stay 4. Like I said,
I could trade.
We're doing this all different. We have our different big boards. So
I think that's the right pick. I think that's the right pick.
And I think Kyle Pitts has the chance to be. It's hard to gauge him in the NFL because he is a wide receiver in a tight end's body. So I think he has the ability to be way better than Gronk. It just depends on how durable he is. But I think he's the best player in the draft. So I would take Pitts.
His floor is Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. He is going to change an entire offense completely for whatever team he goes to. And I think that's great. And I think he had a great year last year. So I'll take Pitts. And Ryan mentioned this. Tom, I mentioned it too. We got to pick it up a little bit. So unless anyone doesn't agree, or I guess unless anyone has some real qualms with Pitts, let's move on to number 5. And Tom, that's you.
Yeah, so the Bengals obviously had the issue last year protecting Joe Burrow. I'm going to go with the highest rated tackle here with Penei Sewell.
I like that pick. I think he's kind of been another faller in boards on draft boards for really no reason. I do have questions about if he's good enough to play left tackle, but either way, I think that's a good pick for the Bengals at 5 if Pitts is off the board. The only one I could see them taking there other than Sewell is Jamar Chase.
Yep.
So, Ryan, anything? No. Okay.
And the fact that they do have the one spot that they are solid at on their offensive line is Jonah Williams. And Jonah Williams has, I think, more fluidity going left to right. I think he's as good of a left tackle as he is a right tackle. So if they, I think Penei Sewell is a left tackle. I actually think Jonah Williams could be the best right tackle in the league if they put him over there. So
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
All right. So now I am up for the Miami Dolphins, and
this is going to be interesting when it just plays out.
I cannot believe that I'm hearing more rumors about them moving down again. I mean, this truly is a roller coaster. But to me, if Kyle Pitts is off the board, there's only if Pitts and Sewell are off the board, there's only one pick that they can make, and it has to be Jamar Chase.
I agree completely.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Real quick, do you guys think he will end up being the best receiver in the class? Because I think it's him by a wide margin.
I do have him as that. I think he will be the best. I think there is a clear top 2, and I think there's a larger separation between 2 and 3 than there is between 1 and 2.
I agree with that.
All right, so we will move on to the 7th pick, which is the Lions, I believe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Lions. And this is very weird. They're in a tough spot because obviously Jeff Okudah didn't play well last year. All the cornerbacks are going to be on the board for them, and they do have Hawkinson, and I do think they need to get – I think the best way for them to go right now is to go offense. And because there's no one on defense, I'm willing to reach that high on. So I think they should take Jalen Waddle. I have him higher than Devonta Smith. And it gives Goff at least someone to throw to with Golladay leaving. And I think Jalen Waddle is going to be huge in the return game as well as a pro. So I like Jalen Waddle there.
So Jalen Waddle is my number 2. I have Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle, and then a pretty big separation. And my number 3 isn't who most people have at number 3.
Let me guess. Is yours Rashad Bateman?
It is.
Yeah.
You love Minnesota. I do. I think Rashad Bateman is really good. I think Waddle is the second best receiver in the class, and I think he's going to be a lot better than Henry Ruggs. I think he has more actual ball skills than Henry Ruggs. So I like Waddle of the Lions.
So much more physical. He's so much more physical than Ruggs.
All right. So the 8th pick, Tom, you're up.
Yeah. So I don't get to talk about the Jets, but I get to talk about Sam Darnold, who was a Jet. After the trade, they don't really need Trey Lance, who is the guy that I've had slotted in here for the Panthers since I started writing the mocks for the site. So now that they don't need a quarterback, I think they can kind of go anywhere at this point because I think their receiving core is pretty solid. It's not the best, but it's good enough. And their defense, they spent a crap ton of picks on defense last year. So going offense here, you're looking at potentially Devonta Smith, but I am going to go with Rashawn Slater to protect Sam Darnold here, just because I don't think that their line is all that good.
So Rashawn Slater has a very easy comp for me, and that's Zach Martin. I think when Zach Martin was, and I'm talking about when they were coming out, when Zach Martin was coming out of Notre Dame, everyone was saying Zach Martin could easily play 4 positions on the offensive line, and he would be a really good tackle. And he could be an all-pro guard. I think that's what we see out of Rashawn Slater also.
Yep.
I like Slater. I think he had a really good year in Northwestern, and I like Northwestern players. I like Pat Fitzgerald. I think he's a great coach. So
great coach.
And then Ryan, you 9th pick.
All right. So this, to me, I hate Drew Lock. I'll just go out and say I think. Thank you. I think Drew Lock is, and I know he's been given a lot of flack lately. I think he deserves more. I just do not think he is any good. Give me Trey Lance because I do think the Broncos have enough invested in Lock that they'll give him at least a year. But Trey Lance is, I think he's going to be so much better. He's not going to have to travel far from the Dakotas to the Rockies. And his ability to push the ball on a line. And I don't get into pro days as much as some other people do. But I was watching his pro day, and the amount of velocity that he has on the ball, where he's able to get it to a spot further down the field without putting so much loft on it. I just love his and having a season where you account for 42 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Trey Lance is my QB3 in this class. I think it's great value for Denver.
I agree. I could not be. You could not be more right for me on Drew Lock. I don't think he when he got picked, I don't think he should got picked where he was. I think he came out as a system quarterback out of Missouri. I do think Lance will take a year or two starting to really find his groove, but I've said it. I've been covering the FCS. I've talked to a lot of FCS guys. They say he has the ability to be a lot better than Carson Wentz. The only thing I said I have on Lance is basically the fact that he doesn't have a lot of tape. And the last game he played, he threw his only interception of his career, which is a crazy stat in a good way and also kind of weird. But like I said, I've talked around, asked about Lance. Everyone seems to think he's the real deal. So the Broncos need to do something else. So I agree. So the Cowboys will be me. Tom, did you get the message on the side?
Yeah.
All right. So everyone's got that. So the 10th pick with the Cowboys, I think it could go a lot of ways. I think Jerry Jones probably loves Devonta Smith and would love to draft him. I cannot see that happening. I think they have to go with the best corner, especially because they just lost who they lose in free agency.
They lost Byron Jones last year. I forget exactly who.
They lost one of their top corners this year to free agency. So I think they need to go with corner and defense. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they took Devon Smith, but I think you take the best corner on the board here. And to me, that's Patrick Surtain. He's tall, he's strong, he's physical. He comes from Alabama. I know, Ryan, you don't like that, but they do tend to have rather good defensive backs. And Surtain I've said it before, Surtain has NFL bloodline. So, and especially with Farley having the medical issues that he does, I think Surtain is far and away the number one corner right now. So I would take Surtain if I was the Cowboys, and I think they will.
Chidobe Awuzie is who you were thinking of.
Yes. Does anyone have any problems with Surtain there?
No, I
No
think
whatsoever.
that's the most commonly mocked player to them from what I've seen, and it makes tons of sense.
Him and Diggs are
it
going to be a
also
nice
would
duo.
not surprise me to see the Cowboys trade down. I know there's all these rumors that Jerry Jones will do anything to get Kyle Pitts in the building. But it also would not surprise me if they traded down, because I think that edge rusher is a bigger need for them. But the value at number 10 just isn't there for any of the edge rushers.
Yeah, I was oddly enough, I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah. I'm sure you guys all know him. I think
I love DJ.
I do too. I like his comps. But he was saying basically this draft class, and it's true, is so weird. It's the first draft class in like 5 years that we don't have a dominant edge rusher, like a top 5 pick guaranteed, which is weird. But that means also then you could find a lot of depth at the position in later rounds. So So who's got 11th or the Giants, right?
Yeah. So I'll take the Giants, and you'll take the Eagles. So this is another one, and for the first time, we're hearing rumors that the Giants are actively seeking to trade down, which absolutely is fine with me. I would prefer them to trade down, because the guy that I really would love to have on this team is Kwity Paye. I just don't see the value being here at number 11.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Gettleman is a BPA kind of guy, and to me, there's a clear player at the top of the BPA, and that's Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons can play inside with Blake Martinez in base sets. He can play on the edge in subsets. I'm not worried about his lack of productivity in terms of sacks. But to me, he can be one of those late 90s, early 2000s linebackers that were so prevalent in the league. I love Micah Parsons. As a player on the field, what we don't know is what teams are getting into about everything off the field, including the hazing incident at Penn State.
Yeah. I think I like Parsons as well. I think he's the best linebacker, at least middle linebacker. I do have some things that he might not be able to cover, but I think he's at 11th. I think he's a great value pick because, I mean, there were times when he was slotted as a top 5 pick.
I think the Giants secondary right now has improved so much that, I mean, there are people saying that the Giants currently have the best secondary in the league, and they're bringing in Jason McCourty for a visit. So, I mean, I'm not worried about them saying, Micah Parsons, go cover Dallas Goedert, play in, play out. That's just not going to be what they're going to ask him to do.
Yeah.
So I do have a question then, because you said you would like them to trade down. What would it take for the Browns to move up to 11, in your opinion?
From 26? It would probably. I would say a third this year and a first next year.
I mean, the Browns do have 2 third-round picks, and I'm not necessarily in love with enough of the cornerbacks to give up next year's first pick. But if they could find a deal where they can rattle up and maybe get up into the late teens, 15, 16 kind of thing, I think that would be good. I don't really think they will, but I would love to trade up for a corner.
Because where I'm looking at it from the last trade that we saw somebody trade up from the end of the first round into somewhat close to that area was when we saw the Saints trade up for Marcus Davenport, and that was trading up from 28 to 14, I believe, and it cost them a 1. So 26 to 11, maybe it's an extra 1 and a 4, maybe a 1 and a 3.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't see the Browns going that option, but it's always nice to get a feeler out, see how my dreams can come true.
I think that's actually a really good spot for the Giants if they're looking for an edge rusher, because I think that's good value for someone like a Jalen Phillips. Someone like I doubt Kwity Paye would be there at 26. Someone like Azeez Ojulari. I think that's a real sweet spot for an edge rusher.
Yeah, and
do not say the words of the other Miami defenseman.
Yeah,
we just will not go there because he's maybe a late second round pick to me.
Yeah, he apparently he's like one of the guys that opted out that has come in and not looked good. But Rousseau, that is, his name is Rousseau. So Tom, but if the Giants at 11, if Parsons there and they don't have the ability to trade down, I don't really see what other option they could go with, considering they already have the best, you said, a good secondary. So I don't know. So Tom, Eagles, this is also going to be an interesting pick.
Yeah.
Because Mac Jones is still on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see them going quarterback because I think that the people in Philadelphia would go crazy if they took a quarterback here.
They're going to go crazy whoever they pick.
That's very true. I can't really argue that. It's very true.
I was there in Philly. I was there in Philly in 2017 for the draft, and when they announced Derek Barnett's name First, there was a silence. First of all, because Eagles fans just didn't know who the hell Derek Barnett was, because they're just they don't know anything. And then there came the boos because they wanted somebody else, somebody they had actually heard of. And then lo and behold, Derek Barnett actually became a pretty decent bro.
Yeah. I think I like Derek Barnett. So the Eagles, what did you have?
So they're in one of the worst situations in the league. They're either in the first or second worst situation in the league. It's them and the Texans. They need a little bit of everything. So I could see them falling into the trap.
Nobody's in a worse situation than the Texans.
Thank you. I agree.
I just try to not work in absolutes. Let's just generalize. So I could see them falling into the trap and taking Devonta Smith here because their receivers are lacking, to say the least. The fact that Jalen Reagor is now the wide receiver 1 scares the crap out of me for them. But I think that secondary is much more of a need for them. And I know Ryan's not going to like this or agree with the pick, but I think that J.C. Horn here would be a really solid addition there.
I'll take it. Send him to the Eagles. Fine by me.
Yeah, I mean, you better be happy if they go with Horn. So I'll pose this to you guys because I just don't see how they don't draft a receiver.
I don't. I think that they are going to look to do something similar to what the Dolphins did with them. They traded down and maybe even them look to trade up. They were able to get an extra one from Miami next year. Maybe they trade up to number 8 or something.
Yeah, 9.
To 8 or 9 if either one of those teams are willing to trade back. Just to secure if any of the receivers start to fall down, because I think there are other teams who are willing to give up a lot to get one of those wide receivers.
Yeah, I could see him moving up to 9 because the Broncos, if they're set on Lance and are set on getting a new quarterback, they can trade down to 12, knowing that none of the teams above them in the NFC East are going quarterback.
Right, so but what if a team like the Patriots decides to then trade up from 15 to 10?
Yeah.
Oh, so, I mean, I think that when the Broncos are picking at 9, I think they're going to have a lot of teams calling them.
Yeah,
true.
I think the Eagles would call them too. But also, what I was going to say is the only thing that I hope Belichick got right is this offseason is Nelson Aguilar. Just because if he's good in New England, Philly fans will lose their mind because they hated him.
They made jokes about him. Someone went on the news and went unlike Aguilar when he was catching the kids from the burning building. That's my favorite clip of all time. I'm catching them unlike Aguilar.
I do have to say I'd be kind of surprised if they went Horn at 12. But I also don't want them to – I wouldn't pick Devonta Smith if I were them. I'm very
I just really don't like Smith, and I think it's too much of a reach for Bateman. So they're going to look at it and say, okay, we can't get White out now. We'll take it in the next round potentially and address the corner situation here.
So I don't know if either one of you saw they had the combine rechecks, and Devonta Smith actually measured in smaller than what we were expecting him to measure in it. He measured in at just over 6 feet tall and 166 pounds. I mean, that's left leg.
That's how much I weigh, and I'm 5'7". Like he needs to put on muscle. I don't know if he's a guy that can. I won't get into it right now. I'm sure we can have conversations about Devonta Smith another time. But we are going to move it. 13th pick is me with the Chargers, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think the Chargers.
Oh no, we lost Justin.
He did the thing again. He does it once every show. He clicks on a different tab and it closes him out. There he is.
I did it again. I went to go type in the wrong browser. God damn. Okay. Well, like I said, I think the Chargers could go a lot of different ways here. They could take a receiver, but like I said, I think I don't like Devonta Smith, so I can't see them taking that. I think if they want to do it right, and who I would pick is Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC, the interior lineman. I've heard him compared to Quentin Nelson. I doubt he's as good as Quentin Nelson because you get Quentin Nelson like once every 25 years. But I think they'd be wise to, at least this year, protect Justin Herbert and see what happens. And then maybe they can look at next year getting a receiver. But I think AVT would be a really good pick for them because I don't think there's a tackle there that could go with their team. But I like Elijah Vera Tucker.
Not as high on Christian Darrisaw.
I like Christian Darrisaw. Last year was weird because you got out of all the tackles all of them were good last year. Even what's his face for the Jets was good. Mekhi Becton but I don't think you're going to have a lot of drafts like that where more than 2 or 3 of the tackles end up being really good. And with Slater off the board and Penei Sewell, I think they should just go inside. I wouldn't be surprised if they got Darrisaw, but I like Elijah Vera Tucker more.
I also like how much more versatile he is than Darrisaw because he can play any of the interior line positions.
Yep, I think he can even kick outside as well. He more than held his own at tackle this year. So
yeah, like I said, I like him. I think it's a good pick for them. And like I said, anyone who is in the same breath as Quentin Nelson in the draft, because that will go down as probably the Colts, one of their best picks in their history, just like Joe Thomas was their best pick for the Browns in Browns history, and I hated it. But okay.
But
so
the,
we'll go on.
The best part about the Quentin Nelson pick is they got 2 second-round picks in order to take him.
Yeah.
Quentin Nelson, like I said, you only get a couple of those. Also, I forgot to mention, I respect Joe Thomas's word on tackles because I think he's going to go down as one of the top maybe 3 or 4 tackles in NFL history. He loves Penei Sewell at left tackle. So if he gives me his thumbs up, I'm cool with Penei Sewell too. So whoever's up at 14, go ahead.
Are we reverting back to original order? Or okay. That means it's me. I absolutely hate the position that the Vikings are in because I have no idea what to give them. I would not be surprised if Devonta Smith fell this far. Pairing Smith, who has whatever amount of potential you want to say he has, I don't think it's a lot. As we've kind of found out on this show, none of us are real fans of Devonta Smith. But the allure of pairing Smith with Jefferson could be enough for the Vikings to pull this. If it were up to me, I would be going with Christian Darrisaw here, but I think I'm going to pull the trigger and have them take Devonta Smith.
This could very well be Adam Thielen's last year in Minnesota.
Yep.
And then you have the pairing. And again, we hear the comps of Marvin Harrison with Devonta Smith all the time, but mainly because of the size. And Marvin Harrison is not the rule. He's the exception for players to overachieve at that size, at that position. Can Devonta Smith be – he's not going to be what he was last year. That's just not going to be what he's going to bring in the NFL. Can he be similar production-wise to a Deshaun Jackson? Yeah. I think Deshaun Jackson could be his ceiling.
Yeah, I don't know, or at least maybe I can't remember. He has been on the biggest roller coaster of any prospect I can remember. Before the season, everyone was on Jalen Waddle. And then when he won the Heisman, everyone was like, he's going to be top 5 for sure. And now after the measurements, he's fallen back to the middle of the first round in some drafts. So, and I agree with him falling back into I don't think that frame, it'll be good for 2 or 3 years. And it just can't hold up in the NFL. I don't think it can.
Yeah. I also don't love the fact, like, we talk about Alabama Open here a lot, and I know that he has the speed and he can do all that and everything. I don't know if he's going to be the deep route guy if there's a guy like Jefferson there. I think he's going to have to be what Adam Thielen is now. He's going to be the guy that runs the short and intermediate routes who can sometimes go long, but isn't really the guy. And I think a good fit with him there would be with Minnesota, but who knows where he's going to end up. I could see him falling into the bottom, into the 20s potentially.
Yeah. All right. 15th, Ryan, you're up.
Yeah, so obviously we see what the New England quarterback situation is like. Cam Newton is on another 1-year prove-it deal with not a whole lot guaranteed. To me, I think this is where we finally see Mac Jones come off the board.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Do I think Mac Jones is worthy of a top 15 pick? Probably not. But Mac Jones to me is there is no way am I putting him anywhere close to Tom Brady. But you look at the physical skills coming out of college, and Brady, the two things that Brady was able to give you on a consistent basis is timing and accuracy. And that's what Mac Jones showed over this 2020 season. Timing and accuracy. He's not going to wow you with athleticism. He's not going to wow you with the cannon of an arm. To me, I think Chad Pennington, a little bit stronger of an arm than Chad Pennington. And hey, Chad was a successful quarterback for multiple years in the NFL, but he'll never be considered one of the elite, maybe not even one of the top half quarterbacks in the league. But you put that sort of quarterback in a Belichick system with the Belichick defense, and we saw all the moves that they made in free agency this year. Maybe Mac Jones is the right sort of game managing type quarterback that New England needs.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think 15 is the farthest Mac Jones can fall, because if he's there at 15, I don't know how the Patriots couldn't take him. I'm not as worried about Mac Jones being good on the Patriots as you are, Tom, but still I don't like the fact of a first-round quarterback being in Belichick's system, because I want the Patriots to be bad forever. But I agree. I think this is where he falls. If he doesn't go 3, we'll see. But
I would be shocked if he doesn't go to the Patriots. But the only thing that concerns me about him, and Ryan, this kind of goes against your point. I don't know if any of you saw the highlights, if you want to call him that, from the pro day, but he overthrew Devonta Smith on a deep route like 3 or 4 times. And I know it's a pro day, and I know we can't take too much consideration to that, but like, you're overthrowing a Heisman Trophy winning receiver who you've been throwing to covered all year. And this is different than Alabama Open. They were like wide open. There are no defenders. So that would be my only issue with him. But I mean, we're talking about 15 here. We're not talking about him going 3 with these issues.
Yeah. I mean, Mac Jones, he's Mac Jones, so whatever. All right, 16, Cardinals. Unfortunately, this after losing Patrick Peterson and adding J.J. Watt, and I think Arizona, I've told Tom this before, Kyler Murray is my favorite quarterback in the NFL other than Baker Mayfield. But Kyler Murray's skill set is only it's built for a short NFL lifespan, in my opinion. Like, he's not, once he turns 29 and 30, he's not going to be able to run around like he used to be able to. So they kind of need to win now. I think that's part of the reason they signed J.J. Watt. But here, I originally had J.C. Horn going to them, but he's off the board. I don't trust Caleb Farley's medicals. Even though if he does follow the Browns, I'll take him happily. So I would go with Newsome from Northwestern. he was a very key cog in what probably was one of the top 10 secondaries in college football last year. They had a really good secondary. He's not the cornerback Caleb Farley is, but I don't trust Caleb Farley's issues or injury issues. And like I said, I think they need a corner to replace Patrick Peterson. So that's who I would go with. And I think that's who they'll go with. It'll be either be Newsome or Farley. So
or Horn if he's there.
Yeah. What about you?
Are we finishing up just like Ryan and I do one more pick each? Or are we done at 16 here?
I think we're done at 16. I was going to ask Ryan about Newsome. I was just asking.
I really like Greg Newsome. I think 16 may be a little too early for him, but again, he won't be there when they pick in the second round. A sneaky name for Arizona, Najee Harris.
Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Yeah, they lost Kenyon Drake.
Right now, their only running back is Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
Not Najee Harris is a sneaky name. I think Newsome is a better, because I do think in the second round is where you're going to see names like Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. I'm really high on Chuba Hubbard. Everyone is putting him down their boards because of a subpar year this year. But I looked at what he was able to do in 2019, and his measurables at his pro day more aligned with his 2019 film than they did with 2020. I think he's going to be an absolute steal if he goes anywhere after the second round. So, but
yeah, and also with Chuba Hubbard, everyone's down on his performance from this past year. If you watched an Iowa State game, like that team was very good. I can't think of their coach's name. He's a really good coach. But they asked Chuba Hubbard to do, I would say, 60 to 70% of the offensive they needed to get the ball. I mean, he ran the ball like 25, over 30 times a game, I think 3 or 4 times. So they used him a ton. I don't think his NFL life is going to be that long because of that. But yeah, I like Chuba Hubbard too. But
I think he made a major mistake going back to school.
Yep,
if he comes out of the draft last year, he's probably a late 1, early 2.
Yeah. I agree. I love Hubbard. I like everything about his game. I kind of understand why he's falling down the draft board just because of the miles on the tires that he picked up again this year, and the fact that he was getting hit and everything that Justin said about him doing 60 to 70% of the offense and everything. I absolutely love him. Another guy that I could see the Cardinals going with is a guy that I'm really high on, and he's going to go in the second or third round, Trey Sermon from Ohio State. I mean, that guy was tearing it up. He's a big body. He can play really well, complimentary with Chase Edmonds.
I'm not sure how well he fits into a Cliff Kingsbury offense. I think Michael Carter is a dangerous name for that team if they decide to go second or third round.
I think both the North Carolina running backs are going to surprise some people.
Yep.
But that'll be it for us today. We only did the first 16 picks because obviously we should have done that in the beginning, but we took a little longer, so that's fine. So I'll read off what our picks were, and I guess we can give ourselves a grade. Jaguars 1. I took that one. Tom, you took Zach Wilson 2. Ryan took Fields at 3. I took Pitts at 4 to the Falcons, Bengals, Penei Sewell, Miami, Jamar Chase, Lions, Jalen Waddle, Panthers, Rashawn Slater, 9, Broncos, Trey Lance, 10, Surtain, 11, Micah Parsons, 12, J.C. Horn, 13, Elijah Vera Tucker, 14, Devonta Smith, 15, Mac Jones, and then 16, Newsome from the corner from Northwestern. I think that's fairly reasonable how we did it.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing where we kind of came out with it, and I think that there's valid reasoning behind every pick, which is good, except for maybe the J.C. Horn pick. But I just, in all honesty, I don't know what the Eagles should do. Like,
they should lose every single game.
Yeah. I was happy that you brought up Najee Harris, Ryan, and I'll get this quick out and everything. I've seen so many mocks of him going to the Steelers, and that is a nightmare scenario for me.
Yep.
I mean, I think he is the perfect running back for the Steelers system.
He is, but behind a typical Steelers offensive line, which they're not going to have this year.
I'm hoping that the Steelers are bad this year. It would be great. I don't know. But so we went through the first 16 picks. I think we all agree we did it pretty well. There was nothing really to qualm about. So when do we want to do the last 16 picks, fellas?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys just saw in the chat. I was thinking maybe we could do a little finish up the mock draft extravaganza and maybe do a third show this week on Saturday to finish it up before we take like the huge deep dive for draft week leading up to the draft.
It would have to be in the morning for me.
That's fine with me. I can do Saturday morning. I can do Saturday morning for sure. I have FCS all afternoon. But other than that, I can do Saturday morning. Let's coordinate a time, do our last 16 picks. And everyone, have a great rest of the day. Ryan, thank you for joining us. He will, of course, be back on Saturday. I honestly maybe think we should just merge the ZT and Bang Man, but it's a little different. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But definitely, this was awesome today. Once again, thank you, Brian, for coming on. Absolutely. And we'll see you hopefully Saturday morning. Let's go, Dogs.
Let's go, Dogs, baby.